just cut this Napa cabbage in half, and the best way... Oh, that is so cool. Okay, kimchi making time, y'all. Per the instructions of the video that I watched, which I shall link below this one, I'm using the Celtic Seasalt, and I used 2.5 teaspoons. I sprinkled it over top of the cabbage, and I've just tossed it around a few times. Now this is just going to get set aside whilst I prep the other vegetables. So hold on, to get to that. So I have just cut the carrots on an angle as well as the daikons, and now chopping them into the matchstick size pieces. And then I have a piece of ginger. The recipe did not call for peppers because there's pepper flakes in the recipe. However, I couldn't find the peppers that they were talking about, which are the Korean gochujang peppers. So I bought this, which has all the good ingredients in it. And additionally, what I'm going to do is use some of these peppers that I purchased at the fermenting festival, which was lovely. I hope you all caught that other video. And then I've got green onions from out in the garden. So I'm going to keep chopping this and I'll show you what's next. So in here, I put a half a cup of water, 1.5 teaspoons of rice flour, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of, well, I didn't have soy sauce, so I used Bragg's liquid Aminos, and I used my Florida crystals for the sugar. And this is just thickened up, and I'll show you what comes next. Over here in the bowl of chopped Napa cabbage, there's a little bit of liquid beginning to form at the bottom from the cabbage being salted, and I've been working on it. It is not ready yet. One of the tips that she said in the other video is that the crispier white part of the cabbage leaf should be flexible, and it shouldn't snap. So I've got to wait a little while longer with this before I can do the next step. 3 cloves of garlic, about a 1.5-inch piece of ginger, and 1/4 of a red onion. I'm going to chop this finely, and then this is going to get mixed into that rice porridge I just showed you. So I just mixed the chopped stuff in, and now, oh my goodness, the kimchi. I don't know how much to add, so I'm going to start with a tablespoon. And in her video, she talked about using gloves to mix everything together, so I don't usually use gloves, but we'll see. This stuff smells really hot. Meanwhile, I'm back in the bowl of chopped Napa cabbage. They're beginning to do what she said would happen, which is that they're getting more flexible and they're not snapping when I'm pressing on them. I'm going to leave this probably for about another 10 minutes. Then the next step is to rinse the salt off this cabbage and drain it. The extra salt is not required in a kimchi ferment. So we shall see. Hold on, and I'll bring you over in just a moment. There's our bowl with the daikon, the pepper, the green onions, and the carrot matchsticks cut up. Into the bigger bowl of the cabbage, which I have rinsed. And now I'm just going to mix this around for a little while. And again, let it start getting the liquid that will form at the bottom, and make sure that all the vegetables are well distributed with the cabbage. And then I'm going to bravely mix the hot pepper rice porridge mixture in, and then the next step after that is to pack this into a jar. Just like the other ferments, this will set out on the counter for probably 2 days. Her recommendation was to check it after the first 24 hours to see how the flavor is. And obviously the temperature of the house will have a great deal to do with how quickly this is going to ferment. So hold on just a moment while I get that other pot. Okay, so I've just poured in the mixture of the ginger with the garlic and the red onion chop that was mixed into the rice porridge. Mixing this all around with a spoon, but I'm gonna have to get my hands in it when I put it into the jars. So I'm gonna continue with this and bring you back here when I get ready to put it in the jar. So I just tasted a piece of cabbage and it didn't seem quite hot enough to me, believe it or not. So I just added another tablespoon of the kimchi sauce that I bought. And I will let me just show you. So that's the brand. And so this has the water. It's got the Korean dried chili peppers. It's got cane sugar, white distilled vinegar, sea salt, crushed garlic, ginger puree, and cayenne pepper powder, and xanthan gum. It didn't, of all the things that were there at the grocery, it seemed pretty safe. I like big stuff. I like to make it from scratch, but unless I go all the way into the big city, I'm not going to find those pepper flakes. So this was a quick and first time test. Okay, I'm going to keep mixing this and then we'll get it in the jar. Here we go. Just like the other sauerkraut ferments, she said to be packing this down into the jar as I go. And I'm wondering if this jar might actually be, well, maybe it's going to be just right. I was getting a little bit better about understanding the twice the quantity of product to what's going to go in the jar is the appropriate amount to leave enough space for the liquids to form over top of whatever's being fermented, and also have enough space that if it needed to overflow, it could whilst being packed down underneath the liquid. So I'm not sure which jar I'm going to set inside of this one yet, but I'll just get it packed down in there. It's very exciting. It's my first time. Oh, and yes, there's plenty of liquid in here. So I'm going to just get this little bit swept in here. Trying to only use one hand because it smells really hot. And when I tasted another piece of cabbage after I added the next tablespoon of the kimchi hot sauce, it's pretty darn hot. So, all right, press this down. She did not lay a cabbage leaf over top of this. She only said to ensure that the kimchi was below the liquid. So I think that's happening. Again, once this is fermented to the flavor that I'm looking for, which will have a little bit of a effervescence to it, the product goes into the refrigerator and it will be slowed down by the cooler temperatures, but the fermentation will continue. And I'm really looking forward to potentially this will be something that I can bring to a Thanksgiving gathering I've been invited to. So, all right, see you in the next part. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just wipe the upper surface of the inside of the jar. Not anything that's not submerged below the liquid. And the edge, make sure I get a good seal on this lid. And again, I'm using one of these Trellis and Company lids. I'm gonna just put this over here on the counter with a bowl under it, and you can see the amount of liquid that's in there. And yeah, I'll show it to you in a few days. 8 days ago, I mixed together my first batch of kimchi, and I'm going to go ahead and have a little taste, and if I like it, I'm going to go ahead and set it into the refrigerator to stop the ferment. It has a really good smell to it, so let me see how it tastes. Hold on whilst I get a spoon, a long-handled spoon, so I can dig on in. Let's see. That's what it looks like. So that's mostly what I've got right there. Looks like the cabbage, the Napa cabbage. Okay. It's not as hot as I thought it would be, but it does have some heat to it. I like the crunch. I can taste the ginger in it, and I got a small piece of the carrot as well. Okay, I'm gonna package this down into a slightly smaller jar so I can reuse this one because I've got more sauerkrauts to make. I eat the sauerkrauts fairly quickly. This being a hotter ferment, I think I will be using it more as a condiment with various meals I'll be preparing. But thanks for joining me in my very first attempt at making kimchi. See you in the next video. Till then.